Hello, my name is Kira and today I'm going to show you how to make the cutest no-sew dragon. Like I said, this pattern is completely no-sew and it's definitely one of my all-time favorite patterns, so I cannot wait to share it with you guys. If you're a beginner, check out the videos I have linked below with tutorials for a magic ring and the other basic stitches that I'll be using in this pattern. Let's go ahead and get started. For yarn today, I'll be using Big Twist Baby Bear in the color Sage. This dark green color here is Loops and Threads Chenille yarn in the color Agave. And Big Twist Baby Bear in the color Vanilla Cake. For supplies, you'll need a pair of scissors, a 5mm crochet hook, a stitch marker and an embroidery needle, 20mm safety eyes, and some polyfill stuffing. The very first thing we're going to do is make the wings, and to make the wings I'm going to start by making 6 single crochet in a magic ring. You do want to start the wing using your accent color, so for me that's going to be this dark green color. For the next round, I'm going to make 6 increase stitches to give me 12 stitches total. And if you remember, an increase stitch is just 2 single crochet into the same stitch. I'm going to go ahead and place my stitch marker, and just for reference I like to have my stitch marker in the last stitch of the round rather than the first stitch of the round. For the next round I'm going to make 1 single crochet and then an increase stitch and repeat that 6 times. So there's 1 single crochet and then an increase, and then I'm going to do that 5 more times. For the next round, I'm going to make 2 single crochet and then an increase stitch 6 times to go all the way around. So 1 and 2 single crochet and then an increase stitch. And then I'm going to do that 5 more times. For the next round, I'm going to make 3 single crochet and then an increase stitch and repeat that 6 times to go all the way around. So 1, 2, and 3 single crochet and then an increase stitch. And then I'm just going to do that 5 more times. And then we're going to do 1 more round of increases, so I'm going to do 4 single crochet and then an increase stitch and repeat that 6 times all the way around. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 single crochet and then an increase stitch, and then I'm going to repeat that 5 more times. Now what I'm gonna do is take my kind of circle shape that I've made here and just fold it in half with the wrong side facing inwards. So the side that has the tail from my magic ring, I want all of that to be on the inside, just like this. And then I'm gonna go through stitches on both sides of my circle and crochet all the way down to kind of make it like a half circle shape. So I'm just gonna take my hook and go through a stitch from both sides, and then I'm gonna make 18 single crochet like this all the way down. So that's 1. Here's 2. 3. 17 and 18, and then on this 18th stitch that you do here, you're going to want to change colors back to your main body color. So I'm just going to change back to my light green yarn, and then I'm going to chain 1 and turn my wing over, and then I'm just going to make another 18 single crochet all the way across. And then once I'm at the other end here, I'm just gonna chain 1 and turn again. And then all the way across, we're gonna do the same pattern. So we're gonna start with 3 double crochet into the same stitch and then make 2 slip stitches. And you're gonna do that all the way across. So to make a double crochet, I'm just gonna yarn over my hook and then insert it into the second stitch from my hook, which is 1, 2, this one right here. And then pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So that's 1 double crochet. I do have a little bit more of a detailed tutorial on how to do that on my page. So I'm gonna do 3 of those all into this same stitch. So there's 3, and then in the next 2 stitches, I'm just gonna make a slip stitch. So there's 1 slip stitch, and again, there's another slip stitch, and now I'm gonna go back to doing my 3 double crochet in 1. In the next stitch, so there's 1, 2, and 3, and then I'm gonna make 2 more slip stitches in the next 2 stitches. And I'm just gonna continue to do this all the way across this edge here to make these little scallops on the bottom of the wings. And then once you get to the end, you can just tie off this yarn. And then I'm going to tie these two ends here together because this is where we changed colors, and that'll just help to secure those together a little bit more. And then I'm going to go ahead and just tuck in all these little ends that I have sticking out into the inside of the wing so that they're kind of out of the way. So now the last thing to do on the wing is just to add some little lines here to look like webbing on the wing. And to do that, I'm just going to take my crochet hook and insert it right around the bottom of this. The lines are going to go from about here straight up to this point and then straight down there. So we're kind of splitting this little half circle here into thirds in a way. So I'm just going to insert my hook here, kind of by the second scallop that I have, under one of the stitches. And then using my light green main body color of yarn, I'm just going to pull up a loop here and make a single crochet real quick. Okay, and then I'm going to surface crochet straight up to this point here at the top. So I'm just going to go into the next stitch here on the wing and make a single crochet, just like that. And then again, into the next stitch, another single crochet. And I'm going to do that all the way up to the top of this point here. Sometimes it can be kind of hard to find a place for your stitch to go, but and then once I've kind of gone up to this point, I'm going to come straight back down this way onto the wing, doing the exact same thing, just surface crocheting to make these lines here. Alright, and then once you've kind of reached back down where the edge of the wing is, then you can just tie off the yarn. So I'm going to do one more just to get as close as I can to that edge. Maybe. There we go. Okay, and then I'm just going to tie off my yarn and pull this through, and then you can just weave these two ends into the inside of the wing. I'm going to use my embroidery needle to do that. So here's one of my wings all completed, and once you have one of these done, you want to go ahead and repeat all of the same steps to make a second wing for your dragon. And then I'm just going to go ahead and set these aside until we start working on the body later on. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is make the feet for the dragon. So I'm just going to start by making 6 single crochet in a magic ring, and I am using my light green color that my body will be. And then for the next round, I'm just going to make 6 increase stitches to give me 12 stitches total. Go ahead and place my stitch marker. And then for the next round, I'm I'm going to start by making 3 single crochet. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to make 6 increase stitches. And you might want to mark these stitches with a stitch marker because it will be important later. Where we have these 6 increase stitches is going to be the front of the foot. So you'll need to know that later on. But you don't have to have a stitch marker there. I don't usually place one. I just kind of remember where they're at. But I'm going to make 6 increase stitches. And then I'm just going to finish off the round with 3 more single crochet. For the next 2 rounds, I'm just going to make 18 single crochet a round. I'm going to go ahead and do these 2 rounds off camera, but again, I'm just doing 2 rounds of 18 single crochet. For the next round, I'm going to start by making 3 single crochet. And then I'm going to make 6 decrease stitches. And then I'm just going to finish off the round with 3 more single crochet. Now's a good time to go ahead and add some stuffing into the foot. And then this is when it's important to know where the front of your foot was. So we're going to close up the foot by crocheting through both sides, but you want the front of your foot to be parallel with the way that you close it. So for me, the front of my foot is right here, and I want to close it so that the front of my foot is parallel with the direction that it's closed. So I'm just going to make a couple of shift stitches, which are just single crochet, to shift where I start to close these. I'm going to make 3 single crochet. It might be different for you if you have a different tension than I do. So now I have my hook in the right spot. I'm just going to close these 2 ends together and make 6 single crochet through both sides. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then you can go ahead and just tie off your yarn. You don't need to worry about leaving a tail because these feet will be crocheted directly into the body. And then the last part of the foot, I'm just going to take some of my accent color, which is just this dark green yarn here, and thread that onto my embroidery needle. And then again at the front of your foot, so for me that's right here, you can see when I'm looking at it from the side, this back side is a little bit more flat and this comes out a little bit more, and that's how I know it's the front of the foot. So I'm just going to take my dark green yarn and insert it here on the side, about 3 rows wide. And then I'm just going to loop this around these 3 rows here. Whoops. Like this a few times until I have kind of like a toenail. So again, just going into those same 2 stitches to loop this yarn around. I would say about 3 to 4 times, just depending on how you want it to look. And then once you're happy with the shape that you've created here, I'm just going to take this and go back into this bottom spot, but instead of going straight up, I'm going to come over a few stitches just like this and bring it out over here. And then I'm going to go straight down from where I just brought my yarn out and do the exact same thing that we just did. So I'm going to do this 4 times total to make 4 little toenails on the foot. And I'm going to kind of speed through this, but it's just the same exact thing that you've been doing. And then once you've completed all 4 of these little toenails on here and you're happy with how they look, I'm going to take my needle and go back into this bottom spot here, all the way over to where we very first inserted it on the first toenail. And then I'm going to cut the extra off of these 2 tails, tie them together, and then weave them into the foot. So now this is the bottom of the foot, but you can see I have my 4 toenails, and then here's the top. And once you have one of your feet all completed, you're going to want to go ahead and repeat this 3 more times so that you have 4 feet in total. So here's all my little feet. And then again, I'm just going to set these aside for now until we get started working on the body. The next thing we're going to do is make the dragon's ears. So to do that, I'm just going to start by making a slip knot on my hook, and then I'm going to chain 6. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then in the second stitch from my hook, so 1, 2, this one right here, I'm going to make 5 single crochet. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then chain 1 and turn, and then starting in the second stitch from my hook, I'm just going to make 3 single crochet. So there's 1, 2, and 3, and then I'm going to chain 3, so 1, 2, and 3, and then I'm going to turn my work, and starting in this second stitch from my hook, I'm going to make 5 single crochet. So there's 1, 3, 4, and 5. And then we're just gonna do that one more time. So I'm gonna chain 1 and turn. And then starting in the second stitch from my hook, I'm gonna make 3 single crochet. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm gonna chain 3. So 1, 2, and 3, and turn my work. And then starting in the second stitch from my hook here, I'm gonna make 5 more single crochet. So now you can see we have this little wiggly shape here at the top, and this is gonna be kind of like the dragon's ear. But before I tie this off, I'm gonna make 5 single crochet down this bottom side of the ear here just to kind of smooth this out, and it will help us attach it later once we are crocheting this onto the head. So I'm just gonna go in here and make 5 single crochet across the bottom. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and the last one is 5. And then you can go ahead and tie this off. And again, this will be crocheted into the head, so you don't need to worry about leaving a tail. Okay, so here's one of the little ears, and once you have one of these completed, you want to go ahead and repeat all the same steps to make another ear. So here's my 2 little ears. These will kind of come out on the side of the dragon's head. And for now, I'm just going to go ahead and set these aside until we start working on the head. So the last little detail that we're going to make before we get started on the actual dragon itself is the horns. And to make the horns, I'm going to start by making 4 single crochet in a magic ring. And this can get a little bit tricky because the stitches are so tiny. So if it's easier for you, feel free to size down your hook. This hook will work just fine for me, but again, feel free to size your hook down for the horns if you feel like you need to. So here is my 4 single crochet in a magic ring. Also, I've decided to do my horns in white. You could totally do them in any color you want. For the next 2 rounds, I'm going to make 2 rounds of 4 single crochet. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my stitch marker in just so I can keep track of what I'm doing here because they're so tiny. For the next round, I'm going to make 1 single crochet and then an increase stitch, and I'm going to repeat that 2 times. So 1 single crochet, and then an increase stitch. And then one more time. And then for the next round, I'm going to make 2 increase stitches and then 2 decrease stitches. So there's 1 increase, two increases, and then I'm going to do 2 decrease stitches. And then to finish this off, I'm just gonna make one round of 6 single crochet around. And then if it's not already, you need to make sure to turn your horn so that the pretty side is facing out. Mine is inside out right now. So I like to do this just by taking my hook and going up through the top and then wrapping the tail for my magic ring around my hook. And then I'm just gonna pull that through like that. And then I'm gonna kind of use this to pull on while I hold these edges back. So it's just gonna flip it right side out, just like that. And then I'll just take my hook and pull that tail from the magic ring back to the inside. And then you can go ahead and cut the extra off from that. And then to close this up, I'm just gonna fold these edges together here and make 3 single crochet through both sides of the horn. So there's 1, 2, and then 3, and then you can go ahead and tie this off. You'll want to leave just a little tail on this. We will be crocheting it into the head, but sometimes these can get a little bit floppy and it's nice to have that tail there if you need to do any extra securing of the horn. Okay, so here's one of my horns all completed, and again you need to repeat this one more time to make 2 horns total for your dragon. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and set these aside and we will start working on the dragon's head. So to make the dragon's head, the first thing I'm gonna do is make 8 single crochet in a magic ring. I'm using my light green yarn that I'm gonna use for the head and the body. For the next round, I'm gonna make 8 increased stitches all the way around, and this is gonna give me a total of 16. So there's 1. For the next 2 rounds, I'm just gonna make 2 rounds of 16 single crochet around. In the next round, I'm going to start by making 6 single crochet. And then I'm going to make 4 increase stitches. And then I'm just going to finish off the round with 6 more single crochet. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark the center of the 4 single crochet that we made with 2 extra stitch markers that I have. This is gonna be the front kind of like center of the head, so this will be important for keeping everything lined up as we crochet the head. And then just so you can kind of envision this, what we're making right now is the nose. So we're starting at the front of the head and then we're gonna kind of build it up to make the back of the head. So I'm gonna mark the center of the 4 increase stitches that we made here. So to find those stitches, I'm gonna just count 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then this was our first increase and our second increase. So I'm gonna do the second stitch from the second increase and the first stitch from the third increase. I hope that makes sense. Basically, I've just counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then on the 10th and 11th stitch of the round, I just put these 2 stitch markers. And then you should have 9 on this other side as well. So these are nice in the center. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So these are I'm just gonna leave them there and they'll be important later while we're trying to line everything up. For the next round, I'm gonna make 3 single crochet and then an increase stitch 5 times to go all the way around. So 1, 2, 3 single crochet and then an increase stitch. And then I'm gonna do that 4 more times. For this next round, I'm just going to start by making 5 single crochet. And then I'm going to make 2 increase stitches. And then I'm going to make 1 single crochet, a decrease stitch, and then another regular single crochet, and then I'm going to make 3 increase stitches. And then I'm going to make 1 single crochet, a decrease stitch, another single crochet, two increase stitches, and then just finish off the round with 5 single crochet. For the next round, I'm going to make 1 decrease stitch, and then 26 single crochet, I'm just going to finish off this round with another decrease stitch. For the next round, I'm going to make 3 single crochet and then an increase stitch 7 times to go all the way around. So 1, 2, 3, and an increase. And then I'm going to do that 6 more times. So you can see we're starting to form a little bit of the head here. For the next round, I'm going to start by making 2 single crochet and then a decrease stitch 3 times. So 1, 2, and then a decrease. And then I'm going to do that 2 more times. And then I'm going to make 11 single crochet. And then I'm going to do a decrease and 2 single crochet 3 times. So 1 decrease stitch, and 2 single crochet, and then I'm going to do that 2 more times. And then for this next round, it's going to be important that your stitch markers are centered with these other 2 stitch markers that we originally placed to mark the center of the face. You want them to be kind of in line with each other. So I'm going to make 2 little shift stitches just so I can line this up a little bit better. And now this is kind of lined up on my head. So here's what we are working with so far. And in the next round, we're going to be crocheting in the ears and the horns onto our head. The first thing you want to do is just make 5 single crochet. And then I'm going to grab one of my ears here and kind of line up the bottom side of the ear with the next 5 stitches on my head. And then I'm going to take my hook and go through both the head and the ear at the same time, and then make 5 single crochet through both the ear and the head. So there was 1. And then again, just going through the ear and the head at the same time. There's 2. 3, 4, and 5. And then you can just kind of tuck these tails that are sticking out here. I'm just gonna push them onto the inside of the head to get them out of the way. Okay. And then now I'm gonna attach my first horn. So same thing here, I'm just gonna line up the bottom of the horn with the next 3 stitches on my head. And take my hook and go through a stitch on the horn and a stitch for my head, and I'm gonna attach the horn like this with 3 single crochet. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to make 4 single crochet. And grab my other horn. And the exact same thing, I'm just going to line up the bottom of the horn with the head. And then make 3 single crochet through both the horn and the head. And then one more time, we're going to do this again with the last ear. So I'm just going to line up the bottom of my ear with the next 5 stitches on my head and make 5 single crochet through both pieces. And then to finish off the round, I'm just going to make 4 single crochet. I'm also going to take out these stitch markers now. We don't need them anymore, since we have on the ears and the horns. And then, so I'm just gonna tuck all these little tails in. And this is kind of what the front of my head is looking like. Super cute. It'll get better too once we add the eyes and everything. For the next round, I'm gonna make 1 increase stitch. And then just make 28 single crochet the rest of the way around. So just single crocheting around from this point forward. I'm gonna go ahead and do this off camera just for time's sake, but I'll be right back to show you how to finish off the head. So after you've finished making your single crochet around, this is a good time to go ahead and secure the horns if you'd like. So I've already gone ahead and secured this one, and I just wanted to show you the difference. Feel free to leave it, but you see how this one here is a lot floppier than this one. And all I did to secure that was go in here and I took the tail from my horn that I had left, and I'm just gonna go straight up and then go into my horn a couple stitches up, and then go straight back down right below it into the head. And I'm gonna do this about 3 times, and it's just gonna make it a little bit more secure onto the head. Again, this is totally optional. I know some people really don't like sewing, but I do think it makes a difference if you want the horns to be really sturdy on the head. And then once you've secured the horn, just thread that yarn back onto the inside of the head, grab one of the stitches, and then just tie it off real good. And then you can just tuck this right into the head and you're good to go. So for the next round here, we're going to start decreasing a little bit. So I'm going to do 3 single crochet and then a decrease stitch and repeat that 6 times around. So there's 1, 2, and 3 single crochet, and then I'm going to do a decrease stitch. And then I'm just going to do that 5 more times. For the next round, I'm going to make 2 single crochet and then a decrease stitch and repeat that 6 times to go all the way around. So 1, 2, and then a decrease stitch. And then I'm going to do that 5 more times. And then real quick, I'm gonna add some stuffing into the head and place in my safety eyes. I do like to stuff the head before I add my safety eyes, just so I have a better idea of where they will sit on the head. And then once you're happy with how the head is stuffed, you can go ahead and place your safety eyes. I have mine in between rounds 5 and 6, and they're about 7 stitches apart. And I know that might look really far apart right now, but we're going to kind of bring them in a little bit once we get more of the head done. And you just want to make sure that they're nice and centered with the horns and the ears on the head so that nothing's crooked. And once you're happy with the placement of your safety eyes, you can just go ahead and pop the backings on them. Okay, so here is my safety eyes attached on there. And to finish off the head, the next thing I'm gonna do is make 1 single crochet and then a decrease stitch 6 times to go all the way around. And then we will start kind of merging into the body. So I'm just gonna make 1 single crochet and then a decrease stitch. And then just repeat that 5 more times. So that was the last round of the head itself, and now we're going to start working on the body. So like I mentioned before, now we're going to be starting to build our body, and the first thing we're going to do is 1 single crochet and then an increase 6 times to go all the way around. So I'm just going to do 1 single crochet and then an increase stitch. And I'm going to repeat that 5 more times. And then for the next round, we're just gonna do 18 single crochet a round. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this round off camera, but I'll be right back to show you what to do next after you have done one round of 18 single crochet a round. So I just finished doing my 18 single crochet a round, and now and moving forward, it's gonna be really important to keep your stitch marker where you start and end the round centered right here at the bottom of the body. So since mine is not there, I'm just going to make a few shift single crochet to shift the starting point for my next round. And like I said, you want to make sure to do this throughout the rest of the pattern because it's going to make sure that everything is nice and centered, the wings and the legs and how it's supposed to be. So that looks about good. And for the next round, we're going to be attaching the wings. So the first thing I'm going to do is just make 6 single crochet. And then right here, I'm going to grab my first wing, and you want to decide how you want your wings to lay. I think I want mine to sit just like this on the back here. So what I'm gonna do from here is I have this how I want it to sit with the embroidered part facing upwards, and I'm just gonna fold that down onto the head, and then I'm gonna line up the edge of the wing here with the body. We're gonna make 3 single crochet through both the wing and the body to attach it, but I'm gonna make sure that 2 of those 3 single crochet are through this dark green part of the wing, and then 1 of them is over here on this light green part of the wing. And since there's no specific stitches to go under, I'm just gonna kind of grab a stitch where my hook will go in, and then put this in the next stitch on the body as well, like this. So I'm going through both of those pieces there, and then I'm just gonna make a single crochet through both of them. It might be a little bit tight, but this is just gonna make sure that those wings are secured on there really good. And then same thing, I'm gonna go through this dark green part of the wing again, and then into my next stitch on the body and make another single crochet. And then one more time, I'm gonna go into this light green part of the wing on the scalloped part that we made, and then into the next stitch on my body and make 1 more single crochet through there. So now my wing is nice and attached, and it'll sit like this on the top part of the body. And then straight away we're gonna grab the other wing and do the exact same thing. So I want this to sit right about here, so I'm gonna hold it where I want it, fold it down, and line it up with the next 3 stitches on my body. And we're gonna do the same thing that we did to attach this wing, except for in reverse. So we're gonna start with a stitch on the scalloped light green part of the wing here. And I'm just gonna go through that next stitch on my body and make 1 single crochet. And then I'm gonna go through this green part, the front of this green part here, for my second stitch. And then go into the next stitch on my body for the second one. So there's 2, and then 1 more time into this green part here. I'm just going to insert my hook through the top of that, and then go into the next stitch on my body just like this and make my 3rd single crochet. I hope that made sense for you guys. So now once the body is all finished, the wings will sit up like this. And then I'm just gonna finish off this round with another 6 single crochet. For the next round, I'm gonna do 3 single crochet and then 2 increase stitches 3 times. So we'll start with 3 single crochet. So there's 1, 2, and 3 single crochet, and then I'm going to make 2 increase stitches. And then I'm just going to repeat that 2 more times. And then I'm just going to finish off the round with 3 single crochet. So for the next round, you're going to start by making 2 single crochet and then a decrease stitch. So 1, 2, and then a decrease stitch. And then I'm going to make another 2 single crochet. And then I'm going to make 2 increase stitches. Then I'm going to make another decrease stitch. Maybe. And then a single crochet. And then the next 2 stitches, I'm going to make 2 increase stitches. And then I'm going to make another single crochet, another decrease stitch, and then 2 more increase stitches. Two more single crochet, another decrease stitch, and then 2 more single crochet. And also, I'm gonna shift over 1 more stitch just to make sure that my stitch marker is staying centered at the bottom of the body. So I'm just gonna do 1 extra single crochet. And then in this next round, we're gonna add our first 2 legs. So I'm just gonna start by making 1 single crochet, and then I'm gonna grab my first leg here. And you wanna make sure that these toes are pointing forward when your dragon is upright. So when you're sewing it on, or when you're crocheting it on, the toes should be facing away from you, if that makes sense. So I have it lined up here, and I'm gonna make 6 single crochet through the leg and the body at the same time. So just like we attached the wings, I'm going to go through the next stitch on the leg and the next stitch on the body. And then single crochet, and then I'm going to do 6 single crochet total through the leg and the body. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I'm just going to make 5 single crochet, okay, and then I'm going to do 2 increase stitches. And then I'm going to do another 5 single crochet. And then I'm going to grab another one of my little feet, and same exact way, I'm just going to face the toes away from me, have the back of the leg kind of facing upwards, and then I'm going to go into the first stitch on my leg and the next stitch on my body, and I'm going to make 6 single crochet through both of these pieces. Finish off the round with 1 more single crochet. For the next round, I'm going to start just by making 6 single crochet. And then I'm going to make 2 increase stitches. And then I'm going to make 12 single crochet across the top here. And then I'm going to make 2 more increase stitches. And then just finish off the round with 6 more single crochet. For For the next round, I'm going to start by making 8 single crochet. And then I'm going to make an increase stitch. And then 6 more single crochet. And then 2 more increase stitches. Another 6 single crochet. Another increase stitch. And then I'm just going to finish off the round with 8 more single crochet. For the next round, I'm just going to start by making a decrease stitch. And then 10 single crochet. And then another decrease stitch. Eight single crochet. And then another decrease stitch. Another 10 single crochet. And then I'm just going to finish off the round here with another decrease stitch. For the next round, I'm just going to go ahead and do 32 single crochet around, and I am going to just do this round off camera for time's sake, but again, you're just going to do 32 single crochet around, and then I'll be back to show you what to do next. So I just finished doing my 32 single crochet around, and in this next round, we're going to attach the second 2 legs. I'm going to start by just making 1 single crochet, and again, you want to make sure that your stitch marker is nice and centered at the bottom of the body here. So I just made 1 single crochet. I'm going to grab my leg and attach it the exact same way that we did the first 2 legs, just by going through the next 6 stitches of the leg and the body at the same time. And so I'm going to do 6 single crochet through both pieces. So there's 1. And then I'm going to make 18 single crochet, which I'm going to do off camera. This angle is getting kind of difficult for me. So I'm just going to make 18 single crochet, and I'll be right back. And then we're gonna go ahead and attach the second leg the exact same way. I guess this would be the fourth leg, but the second leg on the back part of the body. So I'm just gonna do this the exact same way, 6 single crochet through the leg and the body. And then I'm just going to finish off the round with one more single crochet. For the next round here, I'm just going to start by making 6 single crochet. And then I'm going to make a decrease stitch. And then I'm going to make another 6 single crochet. And then 2 decrease stitches. So there's 1, and then 2. And then I'm going to make another 6 single crochet. Another decrease stitch. And then I'm just going to finish off the round here with 6 single crochet. For the next round, I'm going to do 28 single crochet around, and I'm going to go ahead and do this round off camera, but again, you're just going to make 28 single crochet around, and then I'll be back to show you what to do next. So I just finished my round of 28 single crochet, and you can see we're really starting to form the body here. Here's what the underneath side of mine is looking like. And now's a good time to go ahead and add some stuffing into here because we're going to start decreasing to make the dragon's tail. So again, you want to make sure your stitch marker is nice and centered at the bottom of the body before you start this next round. And the first thing you're going to do is just start by making 6 single crochet. And then I'm going to make 2 single crochet in a decrease stitch 4 times. So 1, 2, and then a decrease. And I'm going to do that 3 more times. And then I'm just going to finish off the round with another 6 single crochet. For the next round, I'm going to just start by making 6 single crochet. And then I'm going to make 1 single crochet and a decrease stitch 4 times across the top. So 1 single crochet, and then a decrease stitch, and then I'm going to do that 3 more times. And then again, I'm just going to finish off the round with 6 more single crochet. For the next round, I'm going to go ahead and start by making 6 single crochet. And then I'm going to make 4 decrease stitches. And then one more time, just going to finish off the round with 6 single crochet. For the next round, I'm just going to make 16 single crochet around. I'm going to do this round off camera, but again, just 16 single crochet around. Now is another good time to add some more stuffing into the body. So for the next 10 rounds, we're going to be kind of doing the same thing, just decreasing 1 each round. So I'm going to go through the first few with you, and then I will put the rest of them up on the screen since it's all pretty much the same thing. So for this first one, I'm just going to make 7 single crochet. And then I'm going to make a decrease stitch. And then I'm going to make another 7 single crochet. And then for the next round, I'm going to make another 7 single crochet. And then a decrease stitch. And then I'm just going to make 6 single crochet to finish off this round. So for the next round, I'm going to do 6 single crochet. And then a decrease stitch. And then another 6 single crochet. So this is kind of the pattern that we're going to follow. So for the next round, I'll do 6 single crochet, a decrease, and then 5 single crochet. So we're just going to keep doing that For the next, I believe it's 7 rounds. You're decreasing 1 every time, and you want to make sure that that decrease is relatively centered at the top. And to do that, all you have to do is keep your stitch marker centered at the bottom center of the tail. So I'm going to shift mine a couple stitches, and for the rest of these 7 rounds, I'm just going to put them up on the screen for you here. It's pretty much the exact same thing that we just did for those last 3 rounds. And then once I have that finished, I will come back and show you how to finish off the tail. Again, you want to make sure your stitch marker stays centered at the bottom of the tail, and you want to add some stuffing every couple rounds just so that it doesn't get too small for you to stuff. So I'll be right back once I have this completed, and I'll show you how to finish off the tail. So once you've finished all those rows of the tail, you should have 6 stitches total, and I'm going to do 5 rounds of 6 single crochet. So I'm going to do these off camera, but it's just 5 rounds of 6 single crochet around, and then we will close off the tail. So after you've done your 5 rounds of 6 single crochet, you can go ahead and tie off your yarn, but do leave just a little bit of a tail so we can do some shaping. So I just have a little tail here. I'm going to tie this off and then thread the tail onto my embroidery needle. And if you want, you can totally try to stick some stuffing in there, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get any in. And then I'm just going to go back and forth, in and out through these front loops here to kind of close the tail up. So I'm just going to go in and out through all of these loops. And then once you have gone through all of them, I'm just going to pull it tight to close that tail off. And then this is where you can decide if you want the tail to stick straight out or if you want it to have some curve to it. So whichever direction you want your tail to curve, you're going to take this yarn on your needle and weave it down that side. So if I want my tail to curve in this way, I'm going to weave it down this side. If I want my tail to curve this way, I'm going to weave it down that side. And I'm just going to go in and out down this side of the tail. Like every other row. Pretty far up the side, just to make sure it has a nice cohesive curl to it. And then once you get towards the top of the tail, when you pull that tight, it's going to make the tail curve around. And then you can just go ahead and tie this yarn down to secure it and weave it into the body. So here's kind of a general overview of what my dragon looks like from the top and the underneath. And we're just gonna add a few more details to finish this up. The next thing I'm gonna do is take a scrap piece of this green yarn and thread that onto my embroidery needle. And then I'm gonna make nostrils on my dragon. So I'm just gonna insert this at the side of the nose where I want the nostril to be about 2 stitches wide. And pull that through, but I'm going to make sure to leave a little tail sticking out over here. And then just like we did the toenails, I'm just going to loop this yarn around these 2 stitches over and over again until I'm happy with how the nostril looks. So I'm just going to keep building these loops on top of each other until it sticks out enough that I'm able to see it well. And then once once I'm happy with how this nostril looks, I'm just going to insert my yarn back into the bottom of the nose and go directly across to the other side so we can do the other nostril. And I'm just going to repeat the exact same steps on this side. And then once I like how my nostrils look, I'm just going to thread this back to where we originally inserted it so that I can tie off the yarn and weave in the ends. And then with another piece of scrap yarn, I'm going to thread this onto my embroidery needle, and we're going to do a little bit of shaping on the face. So I'm going to insert this at the top inside corner of one of my eyes and have it come out at the top inside corner of the other eye, just like this. And then pull it, but still leave a little bit of a tail here. And then I'm going to go back from the side that I just had my yarn come out from to the bottom inside corner of that eye over to the bottom inside corner of the other eye. And then I'm just going to tie these two ends together until I like how the face looks. So it's just going to kind of bring the eyes together a little bit. And then once you're happy with how it looks, you can just tie off the yarn, cut the extra, and then weave the tails into the head. And then we just have two more little details to add. So I'm going to add a little white detailing to the outside of the eyes. And to do this, I just have a piece of scrap white yarn. And I'm going to insert this at the top center of my eye and then have it come out to the side here just to get it out of the way. Pull it off my needle and rethread it back onto this other end. And this just kind of helps me be more in control of where the yarn ends up. And then I'm going to insert that at the bottom center of the same eye and back out to where I had it come out the first time. So you can see that just made a nice little white detail on the eye here. And then I'm just going to tie these ends together and weave them into the head. And then I'm going to repeat this again on the other eye. So to make the spikes, I have my dark green yarn here. And I'm going to insert my hook into the top center of the head, a little bit in front of the white horns that we added, and pull up a loop and make one single crochet here. And then to make these spikes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to surface crochet all the way down the center of the back and the tail. But to make each spike, I'm going to do 3 double crochet into the same stitch. So there's 1. 2. And 3. And then I'm going to make 2 slip stitches in the next 2 little areas here. So I'm going to insert my hook, grab another stitch and slip stitch. And then one more time, grab another stitch and slip stitch. And I'm just going to continue to repeat this pattern all the way down the center of the head, the back, and the tail. So once again, 3 double crochet in 1, and then 2 slip stitches. So I'm just going to do that all the way down the back and the tail, and then I will come back and show you what it looks like when it's all finished. And then once you've done this all the way down, you're just gonna weave these ends in, this one and the one that you get from the bottom of the tail. I hope you loved making this sweet pattern as much as I did. If you do make this pattern, I would absolutely love to see how it comes out, and you can tag me on Instagram at Crochet with Kira. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.